forward to the computer. Good morning, Crystal. Lovely to meet you. Your happy smiling face, how beautiful, lovely.
Thank you.
Great to meet you at last. I really enjoyed your talk on the Wellbeing Weekend, so thank you for that. And so here we are in the Crystal Cabin, the top of the Welsh Mountains on another beautiful sunshiny day.
It's lovely.
Oh, thank you. Perfect place to talk about health and well-being for the Mental Health Awareness Month. So, would you like to introduce yourself? Who's Crystal and what makes Crystal happy?
Well, yes, my name's Crystal, and I'm glad to be being interviewed by the Crystal Cabin. So, thank you for inviting me. Who's Crystal? Crystal is woman, mid-30s, a mum. To a very gorgeous teenage boy who's currently doing his A-levels in the background. Doing some work. I am a businesswoman who started her business about 2 years ago, and I had come from a corporate background and just wanted to, having loved that journey, I just wanted to step out and do something different. And I thought, if I want my life to look different, I'm going to have to do something different. And I know that sounds really cliche, but I felt the energy of I need to move. If I want my days to just have that pizzazz, I'm going to have to be intentional about it. It's not going to fall on my lap. And so it was a case of having this energy of really wanting to step out, and so that was very scary. And I think a part of who I am is feeling that fear and then thinking, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring anyway.
Fabulous.
And that is literally how I've lived my life today. And I think another big part of who I am and what made me adopt that attitude was about 10 years ago. I had a real pivotal moment in my life. My son was 6 going on 7 then, and I was diagnosed with cancer. And just 6 weeks before, I had lost my brother, my eldest brother. And so I was in this window, a period of grief, a period of having lost my physical health because I was going through cancer, but this absolute resolute belief that I'm healed, I'm just waiting for my body to catch up.
Oh, fantastic. Love that.
And so it was like, before that was the watershed moment. Before that point, everything was like, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that. And that's not for me. And I shouldn't be going there, or I haven't done enough study to do this. But after that point, there was this thing that had opened up in my mind that said, actually, after, thankfully, a year later, when I got the all clear, I thought there are no barriers other than the ones that you put in place for yourself. So it was like, so now you have that mindset, what's possible?
Fantastic. Wow, what an introduction. You blow me away. Wow, well done. Absolutely amazing story. You look the picture of health. So your mindset has been really strong. As an energy healer, that really speaks to me. So absolutely got goose pimples. So amazing story. Well done, Crystal. So tell me a little bit more about your background in the corporate world. What was it you were doing before you decided to make that jump, that leap of faith?
Okay, so I had spent about, at that point, 10 years within the policing field in various capacities. So I wasn't a police officer, I was on the business side of things. So I started off in the service quite humbly in my early 20s, and I was kind of doing administration and actually it was that watershed moment that I talked about earlier that just propelled me into, I have more to give. I have a greater capacity than what I'm doing now. And with that, within the span of 2.5 years, I got promoted 3 times, and I went from being an administrator in a team to the head of 2 departments.
Wow, fantastic.
So I was, and over that, you know, probably the last 4 or 5 years of my time, I led services within the HR field.
Very good, excellent. So it's quite different to what you've come into now. Do you want to tell us I'm interested in, obviously being in an energy healer, intention is everything. Everything we do is setting our intention. So I love the name of your business. Do you want to tell us how you came up with that fabulous name?
Well, Intentional Steps came into being. It was almost like I want it to be what it says on the tin. It's like some things happen by accident, most things don't. Yes. And so it was a case of, you know, a lot of us want more, but we don't know what we want more of. We often think that more is going to solve things and suddenly make us exponentially happier. But actually, I wanted to be able to facilitate a space to really help people find their direction, expose what their dreams are, and actually start moving towards it like it's a possibility, to pull their dreaming down into a reality that they can think, actually, that's not so far-fetched, that's not beyond me. And actually, even though my corporate life is very different from my business life, there are similarities, and it did start in my corporate field, because in leading all those teams, I was never a person or a type of leader that would say, okay, this is what we've got to do. It was more about, who have we got to be? Who are we? Right? And can we work out of that space? Because in the being space, the results are so much more satisfying. And so the coaching really started from there in a corporate space. And I really wanted to develop that when I'd left the service. How do I apply that, but in our personal life, in our personal mantra? Because we're not at work from the head up, we are walking into whatever space we're in, we're walking in whole. So absolutely. How do we bring our whole selves into the picture?
Fantastic. Your passion really oozes from you while you talk about what it is that you want to achieve. The message is really clear. You're very driven, extremely strong character. I'm actually quite scared.
Oh, don't be scared.
I'm really joking. I think the word is actually motivated. I'm really inspired by your drive and your passion and your ambition. And you're right. Coming from the corporate background, there are so many different transferable skills that take us into our self-employment, if you like, becoming a womaner. Absolutely brilliant. So, talking of mental health and women in well-being, do you want to talk us through your business, what you do, how that sort of is incorporated into women's well-being, and how you can protect their mental health in the work that you do?
Okay, so I think there are often, I mean, for women, I'm just going to pluck out the average woman, perhaps avatar, being either a woman in the workspace, whether you're running your own business or in a team, or whether you're running your home and you have children. Generally, women, whatever they are doing, they are very, very busy beings. We often have a lot to do, and we are very good at packing out our days with several hundred tasks.
Absolutely.
And you know, and almost it's kind of like that label of busyness, or the label of being a multitasker, or doing it all and having it all, is often worn with a badge of honor, because we can do so much, but actually it can feel like a burden. Because with that badge comes a lot of expectations. So if you are spinning 10 plates and one drops, everyone's focused on that one plate dropping. And so I think in terms of our well-being, we need to be better at creating those pauses. We need to be better at actually looking at our own patterns, acknowledging where we've come from, celebrating what we have actually achieved, and then planning how we're going to forage ahead. I think, like, when we are, you know, when we've got the to-do list and we're forever adding to it, it can get to a point, I think, we can easily go to burnout, and it feels like futile, and we're not feeling that sense of achievement which so many of us need to actually feel. So in a coaching capacity, it almost puts the brakes on all of that activity. It's not saying stop what you're doing or stop your dreams. It's almost begging the question, or starting to ask intuitive questions about, one, is the dream that you think you're chasing, does that dream even belong to you? Was it given to you? Are you making others the sum total of your happiness? How might you factor yourself into that equation? You know, women generally are servers. We serve our children, we serve our bosses, we serve our husbands or family or parents or whatever. And we rarely take time to really serve ourselves. And because we don't take time to do it, we don't know how to do it.
Yeah, or feel guilty or need to justify it. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like, oh yes, I'll take a long bath once I've done X, Y, and Z on the list, and by the time you get to the bath, you forget to put in the bubble bath and all the bath bombs and all the lovely things that would have made it luxury, and actually think, I'm going to have a quick shower and go to bed. So we put ourselves at the tail end of everything. So the coaching conversation is not just like a friendly chat with a friend. It's about really creating a pause for you to think about what it is you think about. For me, or whatever coach you have, to challenge some of the statements. You know, a lot of people might speak in absolutes, or that never happens to me, or that always happens to me, and your coach will be right alongside you saying, when has that not been true? You know, it's really getting to the heart and the nub of what you're experiencing. And although, you know, the thing that separates coaching from counselling is often counselling will look at, you know, your past, it will go through that maybe emotional trauma that you may have need to work through. But really, coaching is forward looking. It may visit the past, but it's to facilitate future learning. So it's really about, okay, how am I going to push forward? And that's why my line for my business is coaching for forward movement, because that's the direction of travel.
Fantastic. And that's that positive mindset. The can-do attitude is possible. Don't dwell on the past. Don't let the past spoil your future. Embrace change and moving forward. Yeah, really fabulous. Gosh, the passion, the energy that comes from you when you talk about what you do is amazing. I can really relate to seeing people come through feeling exhausted and overwhelmed with this being last on your own list. And that really resonated with me while you were talking about that. And women particularly, we do seem to feel like we have to have permission, or we feel guilty, or we need to justify just taking that time out. And it's funny, as you were talking about having the bath and fitting it in and forgetting the bubbles and all the candles and everything lovely that goes with it, and just grabbing a quick shower. I tend to clean the shower while I'm having a shower. How bad is that? Give it a quick spray while I'm doing myself. That's give you quite an odd vision, really, now, hasn't it? We won't go into that. Yeah, that mindset, I'm all for positive mindset, being into the subconscious mind, being a hypnotherapist. And I think visualization is massively key into tapping into that future image of it coming true. How do you sort of guide and coach your clients towards that, the vision of what it is they want once they've decided what it is they want? Because as you say, they've been in their own head think what it is they're thinking about, to think about it while we're in pause. Fabulous. So where do we go from there? How do we get to the end result?
Well, I think so. Once they have an idea, actually, it's sometimes if we're coaching face to face, I might move them around the room. So if it's something that you want to achieve in 6 months, might be like, okay, pick a space in the room which represents 6 months from now and stand in it. Close your eyes, be there, right? What do you see? What are you feeling? What are you sensing? What are other people noticing about you? And actually, in that space, if there's anything uncomfortable, you might think, actually, I want to adjust that part of my vision, because maybe I'm not so good, and maybe I'm not feeling quite right about this aspect. And you're almost making those changes before you've even got there. And so it's just like, okay, once you've fully been in that space of that vision of you being there, I might ask you to step back. Okay, we're a month before that point. What are you doing now to feed into this? So we keep going through this process of stepping back, until essentially they've built a timeline for themselves of how do you feel? What are you thinking at this point? What are you doing at this point? Who are your resources? What have you tapped into? What have you achieved? What are you celebrating? So it's almost they're living it before they've even left the coaching space. And so it's so powerful how your mind works, because if you are actually able to live it out in your mind, and you can see that, and you can see how you've broken down those steps, for you to then walk out that room and then start living it physically becomes easier. And it's almost like, oh, okay, I saw that challenge three months ahead, so when I physically hit it, I'm not deterred. I'm thinking, well, what did I do then, and what can I do now to make it push past this point, or push past this hurdle, to get to that 6-month goal that I was looking for. So I think a part of that visualization is actually moving with it, getting your body into the energy, getting your space into, moving back and forth in time. And I don't mean like a time traveler woo-woo sense. I mean, just really being present with it and living it in your mind. And then the other thing is the practicality. It's like, okay, I've sat with it. I've sat with who I want to be. I've sat with what it might look like. I'm flexible to those changes as well, because sometimes when we are so fixed on it has to look this way, when something else comes into the mix, we might see that as a failure, or, oh no, I didn't plan for this, and we're taken off track. So it's about, yes, visualize it, but be open to other things that might happen. And then the practical piece is the writing it down, okay, so instead of looking at the thing that seems insurmountable in 6 months, what's going to happen today? Because your 6-month goal is created in each day of the day. That's the intentional part, whether it's small or big.
Fantastic. You can definitely see where the name of your company has come from. Yeah. And I want to talk about inspired action, because part of what you were talking about there, tapping into the visualization of 6 months time and feeling good about what you've achieved, being on the other side of fear. We say, don't we, everything you want to achieve is on the other side of fear. Then making that switch to the other side. I love how you were putting the energy into movement, move around the room. I've never heard that before. I think that's fantastic. Super. So I'm loving listening to your business. What have you been doing in COVID, in the lockdown? How's that affected?
So COVID, it's interesting because so I've been coaching clients still, but also this is hibernation time for what else could you be doing? What else could you be developing? Or, this is also the part where you live your business. And that's where authenticity comes in, because it's not that you don't feel fear yourself, or that you don't doubt yourself, or that you think, oh, how am I going to push forward, and what should I do now? It comes back to that, who am I going to be? In the COVID space, I thought, you know, my business, my coaching business, is an extension of me. This is how it came into being. And during this period, as much as my business may have a strap line, I'm thinking, well, I'm a life coach. I want to have a life personal statement for me. You know, how do I measure success? It can't simply be in pounds and pence and number of clients. It's although that is one part of success, it isn't the entire thing. So over this period of time, I created a personal life statement for me, which was to love passionately, live impactfully, and to give generously.
Oh, they're lovely.
And so success looks like, if I am able to fulfill any one or three of those things on a daily basis, I am the embodiment of success. So loving impactfully might be just, you know, cuddling my son and helping him through his A-level, you know, question, or lovingly serving his dinner. That's what success looks like. And so it's really about expanding what good looks like. Yeah, and I think, you know, when I was in my corporate mindset, there was very much a set criteria, because you've got SLAs, KPIs, you've got targets to work with, you've got a very stringent framework because of the business that you're in. When you are coming into your own business, and when you realize that, you know, really, especially the type of business, but for me, I feel like my business and me are one. I notice when my energy is up and when I'm motivated, the tribe I attract is different. Right. Absolutely. And if I'm going through my own you know, figuring things out and developing self, it might quieten in my business. Like, it really does feel like a reflection of me. So I think in COVID-19, it's about really teasing out and sitting with your experiences, and that is as valuable as booking another client.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking earlier about the pause. Really, COVID has been a personal pause for a lot of us, and a time for reflection. But it's really interesting, and I love how you've kept yourself motivated, coming up with those three fabulous things to keep yourself going. And you can tell because you're shining. So that's where that inspired action will come back into as well. When you're in flow and you're feeling great, you're more likely to go out your comfort zone. You feel more positive. You've got that drive coming from a passion from your heart, and it continues to help your business and help you personally grow from the inside out, doesn't it? Absolutely.
And it's in this time actually that I've been able to develop the Dawn program. It's DAWWN, which is the daily application of workplace well-being now. So what is it that we can do right now in the dawn of our realization and awareness of self? And it's a training program that talks you through communication techniques, because we are the keepers of each other in terms of well-being. Well-being is not the just a task on someone's list, and because their title is manager. It's, if we are the keeper of each other and our own well-being starts to expand. So it's, how do we interact with each other? What do we notice about our own communication styles? What are the interruptions to our own communication, and how can we really harness the best connection with others to increase all of our well-being?
Fabulous. So that's a taste of where your business is going forward in what we call in the new norm. So during that pause, you've taken inspired action, been able to reflect, assess your business, and have that precious gift of time to be able to give something back to people from that time that you've had inside your own head. Fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. And I know COVID hasn't been all candy floss and fluff for a lot of people. There's been a lot of hurt, and a lot of people have been affected by it. But there has actually been some positive that's come from it too. Being able to pause and reflect, and communities coming together as well. Yeah. I mean, look what we've done in the mothership, for example. Ruth popped this group together just prior COVID, and it's just gone bang, and 900 odd members, everybody helping and supporting each other willingly, happily, with love, from a place of love. It's absolutely lovely, isn't it, to be able to have support. So yeah, fantastic. So going forward then, we know you've got plans for the future. Are you tending to focus mainly on an individual in business, a self-employed business, a company with their employees, with their engagement, or everybody? Are you available to suit everybody?
I mean, I'm very passionate about women in business. I do like the one-to-one coaching space, but I also want to move on into training teams.
Okay.
Because because I think, you know, if we think about any job we've ever had,
Do we have to?
What keeps us there and what keeps us happy are the people that we're with, and the
yeah.
work that we do, right? You could love your work, but if you're surrounded by people who make you feel, if you feel isolated, because we have to own ourselves, if you feel isolated in the presence of the people that you work with, you're more likely to move on. If you don't feel valued in the place where you're working, you're more likely to move on. So it's mainly coming back to the basics. It's the basic principles of life that sometimes we can forget because we're so caught up in the, I've got to open this spreadsheet, control, delete all day long. And it's like, let's come back to the currency of kindness. Let's come back to respecting one another. Let's come back to recognizing one another for the skills that we have. So I can choose, the result's going to happen anyway. I can choose to journey my way to the result by stressing at every station, or I can recognize the skills and the resources I've got in other people. And instead of defaulting to a point of panic and stress, I can tap into the recognized gift in somebody else and make that a part of my journey. How much more does the workspace then transform when you all are reliant and there's a healthy interdependence on one another in that space? Even if you are starting out and you're essentially the only person in your business at this moment in time, you still have resources. You still have access to a wealth of information, like the mothership, like other networking, like people who are your friends who have, what do they do? What advice could they give you? Find a mentor. There's always someone you can connect with.
Yeah. Connection is so important when you first start out self-employed, and it can be quite lonely, and that networking circle is really key to keeping yourself motivated, surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are also in the process of flow, taking inspired action to achieve their dreams and aspirations. Is a great place to be. Absolutely fabulous. Oh, Crystal, I've really enjoyed listening to you and to sort of oozing enthusiasm and fabulous positive energy and drive about your business. Been fabulous. What advice would you give to somebody else, a woman in business, that might be feeling a little bit in fear, shall we say, of coming out the other side into this new normal? What advice would you like to give?
So first of all, I'd like to say it's okay to freak out. Anyone who's ever started a business has had a moment of freaking out, even if they haven't told you about it. And I would ask myself, what is the cost of you not doing it? Yeah. So it's kind of, you've stepped out and that might feel scary, but what would it mean to you to step back?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's not it's not about being driven to the negative, but you've stepped out for a reason. And so now you've taken your first step, you might as well take the second one and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And there's always a default. You've got other skills that even if it doesn't work out exactly how you were picturing it, you know, you would have already on that journey and on that trajectory opened other opportunities. So keep walking and keep being encouraged and keep being open, because you can do more than one thing in your life.
Yeah, we're women, of course we can.
Absolutely.
And that's lovely, because that brings us back to full circle of women being able to multi-skill and having so many different roles. Yeah, we can do that and still look after our well-being. Yeah. No, I always say you are the most important person in your world. If your well-being isn't at 100%, you can't possibly be expected to deal with everything that's going around you at 100%. And you've just done that up beautifully. Thank you very much.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
lovely. So what does the rest of the day hold for you, Crystal? Have you got plans?
The rest of the day, well, it's a beautiful day today. It's really, really sunny. And as I've got my summer dress on, I'm going to go for a walk, because I live right next to a park. So it's
beautiful.
going to go do my rounds this morning.
Excellent. Well, it's been fabulous to chat to you, to learn about your business. I'm sure our paths will cross again in the Mothership and Network She, out in the world of a woman in business. I wish you all the luck in the world, and thank you for joining me today. Take care, Crystal.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.